How you doing, Margie?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I want to thank you very much for organizing the agenda with all the things that I need to talk about because I would have gotten completely lost otherwise.
You're so welcome. It's team effort.
Yeah.
You have quite a shiny little halo over your.
No, it's a piece of artwork. So
It
let's take that down. Thank you.
must be that San Francisco journey has brought a nice glowing aura around you.
Nice glowing aura. Yes, it's called red wine from Sonoma County.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lovely wedding. Held outdoors, and everything went off without a hitch. Nobody objected to the marriage. Everybody had nice things to say about each other. It's
Nice.
this was a dear friend of mine who turns out that I am actually older than her parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was the eminence grise of the party. Um,
Nice.
yeah, yeah, but it's a wonderful thing to kind of meet your friends' friends, right? Because mostly our relationship was a one-on-one relationship, and I realized that while I considered her among my very bestest friends, all of her friends consider her among their very bestest friends. So that was nice
Nice.
to hear.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not quite sure what to do about this thing from PNM on the non-export systems. You flagged it separately in an email. Uh, I don't know who's on here, but basically, this is the utility stating a position, and it's not a definition, and it's not. I mean, it's just like this is all going to change when we have inverters, and I think it just kind of like presupposes that there will never be any upgrades to the system. So,
Well, we can certainly incorporate it as a position statement on the particular proposal I won. I mean,
yeah, that's probably the best thing to do.
we could do that. We can, and it looks like we've got a few folks this morning, except there's some names that I do not recognize. So we should go through, make sure we know who's here. Um, Adam Gomez and Ray Barrera are some new names for me. Ray Barrera and Adam Gomez, if you're on audio, could you please introduce yourself? Tell me your organization, please.
Hi, Margie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Adam, and me and Ray Herrera, we're with CVE, Central Valley Electric Co-op.
Oh, great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You all are in force because I see Leah is on as well. So great. Thanks for your participation.
Hey Margie, just so you know, you Arthur is now the co-host. You are the host, and the meeting is streaming. So I think we should all be good. But let me know if you need anything else.
Okay, great. Thanks, Isaac, for your help.
Yeah,
No
thanks,
problem.
Isaac. Okay, we'll start in a few minutes. I don't know how many people are going to be on board, but I want to make sure that PNM is here. That's the most important thing, and that there are some industry representatives. I see Adam Harper's here, Jim Desjardins here, Tom Key's here. That might be helpful for some of the technical aspects.
Yeah, for sure.
Harper is here twice. Adam, you're listed twice. Doesn't give you an extra vote.
And I think the 575 phone number 4094, it may be Leon Viveros from PNM, but could you please, whoever is the 575-4094, can please confirm who you are, if you could, by audio?
Hi there, good morning. That is Leon
Okay.
from PNM.
Okay, good morning, Leon.
Good morning, Russ McKee. If you can come to your audio and tell us your organization, I'd greatly appreciate it. Looks like you're a new member of our group, so welcome. And could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Russ McKee with Central Valley Electric. I'm the manager of operations engineering, and I'm joining today just to find out what's going on.
Sorry, your volume's really low. Could you repeat that?
My name is Russ McKee with Central Valley Electric.
Oh, great. Great. Wow. So we've got you, Russ, and Adam, and Ray, and Leah, all from Central Valley. Appreciate your being here. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Patricia Griego, could you also please come off mute and tell me your organization? Judith Parsons and Patricia Griego, can you please identify your organizations?
Good morning. I am with just the administrative with El Paso Electric Company and just listening in. Thank you.
And you are Patricia?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Patricia.
Yes, thank you.
Benjamin Piru, I've probably pronounced your name incorrectly. I apologize. Benjamin, could you please introduce your organizations? I don't see you yet on our distribution list either.
Yeah, hi, this is Benjamin Piru here. I'm the Director of Grid Integration with Nexant.
Ah, okay, great, thank you. Dave Griego, could you please introduce yourself? And Judith Parsons.
Yes, I'm Dave Grego with the State of New Mexico Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources.
Oh, David, yes, we know you. Thank you. I haven't seen you for a week or two, so thanks for being here.
Not a problem.
Judith Parsons, can you identify yourself, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. My name is Judith Parsons. I'm a resource management quality assurance specialist on behalf of El Paso Electric Company joining this morning.
Great. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is Arthur. It's a little after 10 o'clock, and I'll give it another couple of minutes. I see that Frank is here. Anybody else from PNM?
So Leon is also
And
here.
Leon. Okay. And Andrea. Okay.
And
Good.
Andrea. So we've
Good.
got 32 participants. Arthur.
All right. Well, then let's begin. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your joining us here on this somewhat rainy day in Albuquerque. We could use the rain. It's certainly welcome. And we have very focused business today, which is to complete the discussion of definitions. Up on your screen is from the meeting summary from last week, which is the next steps. And so today, September 30th, we're going to complete the discussion of definitions and kind of go over what to expect again. By Monday, you can expect to get a version 3 of the final report and the annexes with the edits from last week and anything from today. We will ask for comments a week later. It'll be Monday the 11th. And that at that point, it's errors and omissions, right? It's not adding anything new. It's not raising any new issues. It's really just making sure that we got all the little threads pulled and that the report will be ready to be forwarded to the commission. We didn't get a exact process for forwarding the report. I believe that it will be shared with the service list. It will certainly be shared with the participants list here. It will go to the commission, and expecting that Commissioner Hall's office will accept it in as an administrative docket item, and so it'll be available on the website in the existing docket. And then we'll decide what to do about moving forward with the notice of proposed rulemaking. I think you heard Commissioner Hall last week opine that the most likely scenario is that the General Counsel's office will draft a revision to the Interconnection Rule Title 17 based on the report, and then we'll issue an OPR, and so it'll go into a formal process at that time, right? So that's where we're heading, and that's what we hope to do. We're, kind of like giving this the time necessary to make sure that we're addressing all the concerns, even if we don't resolve all the concerns. It's really just a matter of process and making sure that everybody has their say, and it'll be up to the commission to determine exactly what will happen going forward. So I'm going to
Arthur, can I make one more administrative announcement?
Yeah, go ahead, Marge.
Please, folks, watch for emails from Arthur and Colin Gillespie this point going forward. So those announcements that the report's going to be available and any other correspondence on this will come from Arthur or Colin, and not from me. I am disappearing from the land for a little while, but anyway, just thought I'd mention that. Watch for emails from Colin and Arthur, please.
Okay, great. I want to point out another document that is not really on the agenda today, but is in the folder. And this is a two-page summary of the positions on the interconnection application timelines, pre-application review, and application that Margie has helpfully put together for us. And what it does is lays out with, I think, really good clarity, kind of what the consensus and non-consensus issues are. As you can see, while we had general agreement on a pre-application report and timelines and dollars that go up to that, there still is no consensus on how long information from a report would be valid. The utilities position is that it's only good for the time it's issued, while other parties wanted at least 24 hours or some defined period of time after the report was issued. That's going to be up to the commission to decide. There's no way to reconcile that difference right now. We understand that the system is dynamic. We would hope that the greater visibility into the system that the utilities are getting from this process will help allow for more flexibility going forward, but we haven't reached that yet. With regard to the interconnection request, what the main differences are in numbers of days to accomplish certain steps in the process. And as you can see here, we have the general industry group proposal, the C1, C2 is the utilities group, and then PNM last week came up with a couple of alternative dates for milestones. Again, we're not going to even attempt to reconcile this. I would say look to the rule for what the commission's statement of what these dates should be. There is one hole here, and this is on the top of page 2, and as you can see, there's a highlighted area for interconnection requests that fail initial review. How many days for the utility to provide a written explanation and offer a customer options meeting? So this was out of the utility proposal, and I don't think that it was specified. If Roberto is on the line and can fill in this gap, that would be helpful. Otherwise, the commission is just going to insert some timeline. Does anybody recollect what the intent was here for the utility proposal? Because it wasn't in.
Yeah, we left it blank because I mean we didn't know the specific dates, but we thought that the fair thing was to allow the same time that the applicant has to respond. So
The applicant has 10 days, so this would be 10 days and then 10 days?
that was the initial I mean position,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean we want to discuss it with everybody.
Okay, is that the other utilities okay with that? Then that's what we'll do. All right, I didn't see any other holes, so again, this is available in the folder. Margie, which folder is it in?
So I just looked, it's not currently loaded. Where would you
Okay.
like it in today's meeting? Would you like it in version 3 report? Where would you like it?
Let's put it in version 3 report so people can refer to it.
You got it. I'll do
Thank
it
you.
right now.
And again, this is really to help clarify for the commission kind of what the differences among parties are. Okay, we're going to stop sharing this one. And then we're going to go to the heart of the order today. And again, thanks to Margie for being exceedingly organized, and she has been throughout this whole process. And I hope everybody appreciates it, because I certainly appreciate it, because I wouldn't be able to do this without her help. All right, so with regard to the definitions that are still under consideration, they've all been laid out in the agenda document for today. I will point out that largely this is, except for the very first one, the late proposals from PNM that we didn't really have the time to go through completely last week, and so we're going to pick that up again. We did deal with a couple of them, so just to remind you is that PNM had an alternative for the definition for applicants, and we decided to leave it the way it was. An applicant is somebody who applies. They requested doing away with the definition for capacity screening level, and we're going to delete that. They also said it was not necessary to have a definition for customer because the more important definition is interconnection customer. So we're deleting customer from the list, and we are leaving the definition of distribution service as it was. So that leads us up to the first definition that we had actually is an industry refinement definition of aggregate generation or aggregate generation capacity. And the proposal is that this means aggregated ongoing operating capacities of all small generator facilities across multiple points of common coupling. Does anybody from the industry want to explain this at all? And we'll see if we can accept this.
Hey Arthur, this is Stephen Remsher. Sorry, I stepped outside, and hopefully there's not some background noise here. So I think there was two workshops ago, there was, I don't know if it was PNM, but one of the utilities pointed out a gap in not having a definition of aggregate capacity. So the industry group went back and looked at that. At that point, I'm not clear what happened to the definition of ongoing operating capacity, if that's still being used, that was used in Colorado, or if it has been removed. But what we did was merged a definition of aggregate generation from the East Coast with, at that point, the agreed upon language for ongoing operating capacity. So we wanted to create a definition because it's appeared like a gap, because definitely aggregate generation is used. So this was our attempt at proposing a definition.
Okay, just for clarification, this is everything in the utility territory or everything that's on a feeder, or what's the
that would be really dependent on the utility area that they're analyzing. It could be a service drop from my perspective. It could be the whole distribution circuit. It could be the substation as a whole. It's really up to the utility in the analysis that they're performing.
Okay, I'd like to just clarify that it's within a defined something.
Yeah, I think you could add the distribution system in there somewhere. This was pulled from another jurisdiction, and there wasn't that clarity.
Okay, can somebody from a utility help me here? What would it be? Yeah, somebody from a utility help me here. Within a defined subset of the distribution service area, what? Anybody?
This is Frank. I would say distribution system, but just to quote, the ongoing operating capacity is a point of non-consensus. I just wanted to state that. Thank you, Art.
System. Okay, so is this acceptable within a defined portion of the distribution system? And all I can do is really bold it. Okay, great. All right, so I'm gonna operate from this document. I do have a separate document, which is the all definitions, but this one lays things out fine. Okay, going to move on to customer options meeting, and I believe that this is an addition because it wasn't on our additional list. So P&M is recommending that a customer options meeting is a meeting designed to review the current status, let's fix that, of the application initial review results. So it comes after the initial review, or to determine next steps that are needed to permit safe and reliable interconnection. Does anybody have an issue with that? Okay, hearing none, we will accept this as an addition. All right, we have scoping meeting here, and that's a later definition. What's the difference between the customer options meeting and the scoping meeting? Is there a difference?
I don't know if Matt Hagan is on. I remember him mentioning that the scoping meeting is something happened after the detailed study, I believe, but I'd like to hear from either El Paso or SPS. Michael D'Antonio, are you still on?
I am, Margie, but that's a Matt question.
Okay.
And I'll just say from the SGIP perspective, the scoping meeting, it's a meeting that has to happen at every single one of the stages of the process. I mean, application has been received and it's complete. Once the study is complete, system impact study, you also, I mean, you don't have a scoping meeting, but you meet with the customer. You just go over the results, but the initial scoping meeting is just to go over the project at the very beginning. I mean,
that's why I mean, scoping is essentially a beginning. So where in the process does the scoping meeting happen?
After the application is complete.
Okay. To review the completed application.
So it's in our, it's currently described in the detailed study process as a scoping meeting that happens. It says, and this is on, I'll just make the note, in version 2, Arthur, it was on line 909 as it first began to be viewed. And that was during the discussion about this was proposal C2, the utilities group proposal on application timelines. Under detailed study process, it says that if utility determines an application cannot be approved without evaluation under the detailed study process, at the time the utility notifies the applicant of either initial review or supplemental review, the utility shall provide the application with the option of proceeding to detailed study or of participating in a scoping meeting.
Well, let me see.
And then it comes back up in system.
Is this in lieu of a detailed study meeting? I mean, you would need to do this anyway, right?
Arthur, yes, every time you have to go into a detailed study, you have to meet with the customer to discuss all the alternatives and different proposals and then get the customer's approval, understanding of what you want to do.
So is this acceptable? Again, we're just defining bare bones. So a meeting to review the completed application and determine next steps for detailed study.
This is Matt from Excel. I don't think completed application is the right word. Trying to think of a better one. I think just the application, or maybe the application. No, I think what you have right there is good enough.
Okay. Everybody got a problem with this? I mean, again, we want to keep it really very basic. Okay, we'll accept this. Okay, energy storage device. All right, we have a whole bunch of discussion about this, and I think we went into some discussion last time about whether energy storage is considered a generating facility. PNM thinks the last sentence should be removed. Does anybody have a problem with that at this point? Because, I mean, it is what it is. It's going to continue to get redefined as the technology evolves. And I think that somebody said that, what was FERC's position on storage as a generating facility? Somebody put that in chat last time. Tayoko?
Hi, Arthur. Sorry, I have a mask on. I hope that it's going to work here. The generating facility is referred to throughout the screening process, and there's reference made to 1547 and some of the requirements. And so FERC didn't address this in SGIP because storage was not covered in the original, definitions. It is in the IREC manual. It's referenced there that the words here, for purposes of these procedures, an energy storage device can be considered a generating facility. That's in IREC, and it's also referenced in generating facility screening throughout the screening process. So I don't understand why we would deviate dramatically from that scope. So I don't think industry could agree to this change.
Okay. Right. So how about if we say for purposes of these procedures, an energy storage device can be considered a component of a generating facility?
Hey, Arthur, this is Stephen Remsher with Sunrun. I mean, I think if you look at the generating facility definition that they've added, I don't think it's right either. I mean, it talks about storing energy in there, but we're removing all references to energy storage devices. And I think this is all making it very confusing. I would think a customer would want to install a standalone storage. I agree, they're not a qualifying facility. And the term generating facility has different impacts in different places. But the reason why IREC proposed definitions this way was to address this, to ensure it was clear that an energy storage device would be screened with these interconnection processes. And some of these changes that have been proposed, it gets very confusing to me. Well, does this apply to energy storage now? Which is really counter of what I thought we were trying to do. So I think these proposed definitions make things very confusing, and the prior definitions are much cleaner, straightforward, and appropriate. But we'll talk further about the other proposed provisions as well.
Yeah. Okay. So again, if I inserted energy storage device can be considered a component of a generating facility, does that, by being inclusive, does that resolve that issue?
The only problem is standalone storage, right? They're somehow excluded from that. I don't know that that's a big issue, but that's what I would raise as the potential problem.
Yeah, well, we had down here, I think this is the original definition, standalone storage is not a generating facility. I believe that was in the original. All right, Satish? Satish, you're on mute.
Sorry. Thanks, Art. Just a quick question. Where PNM says non-consensus, is the issue here the word qualifying? In other words, in SGIP and FERC rules, qualifying is a very strong word, what a qualifying generating facility is.
No, I
And
think it's including energy storage as a generating facility. That's what their non-consensus is in this instance. I'm not
the
even seeing the
generating
word qualifying.
facility is, because qualifying generating facility is quite a bit different.
Right.
Thanks.
Arthur, I think that some of the contents of the future with automobiles recently announcing that they would be a resource for 2222, which is refers to storage in aggregation. It just doesn't seem to make sense to be limiting these definitions in any way.
Okay,
The
again,
scope.
if we say energy storage can be considered a component of a generating facility, will that suffice?
Arthur, this is Frank. I think that's good. Can you hear me, Art? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good statement that you just said. Thank you.
That way, it's still in there. I don't want this. I'm sorry. While I'm in this share mode, I can't really do the proper changes here. So we're going to stat. I'll just note here. We're going to stat definition and add component of and move on. Okay. So thank you. We're going to get rid of this. Okay, energy storage system. Was there a change here? I think we're leaving the definition of energy storage system and going down to generating facility, which we also had a lot of discussion about. And PNM wants to remove some issues here: manage, interconnect, monitor electricity. It's true, those are sensing maybe attachments, but a generating facility includes an interconnection equipment package. Okay, is there a real reason to delete these things? Is there a better way of approaching this? PNM offers a different, no, they just offer a different definition down here. So this is what we had, prior definition. Generating facility means that the interconnection customer's device for the production of electricity identified in the interconnection application, including all generators, electrical wires, equipment, and other facilities owned or provided by the interconnection customer for the purpose of producing power. PNM is offering an alternate, which is actually more about defining not the physical property, but it's essentially rating right here. So, oh, okay, I'm sorry, generating facility. So I just don't understand what the difference is here. So somebody help me. PNM is taking out stuff that doesn't seem to be in the prior definition. So I'm confused. All right, I'm not hearing anything, so we're just going to stat this. PNM can argue for all these various changes in the technical documents that go along with this, but I think that you're trying to use definitions to essentially limit policies going forward. Okay, so generating capacity. Again, I'm not really seeing much of a difference except for maximum nameplate rating. Generating capacity is the maximum nameplate rating of a generating facility. This is the definition that's currently in the report. PNM, please tell me what your objection is. That it's non-consensus? I'm not understanding why it's non-consensus.
I think it's the first sentence or the generating capacity means the maximum nameplate rating of a generating facility and an alternating current AC. Like we talked about last time, that was a period. It was the rest of it that we were not consensus. That is the programming of such capacity, operational capacity across the point of common coupling.
All right, so you're okay with leaving it up to AC?
Correct.
And taking out except where capacity is limited by any of the methods of limiting electrical exports in section X. I don't like referring to section X's. The generating as limited through. All right, so except where such capacity is limited by any means. All right, so somebody help me rectify this. I would end the sentence at here, and then leave this because we are making provision for power control technologies that would limit export, and that would by definition limit the rating or the essentially the effective capacity. So somebody tell me why this is not usable.
We support PNM's position that it should be only up to the AC, and there's a period there. We don't want to have, because there's going to be no way for us to monitor anything else.
Well, sure there will be.
No, we don't really. So the only way we have is now the nameplate rating. That way we know for sure that is the maximum.
Okay, so from a practical point of view, folks in the industry, please tell me what it means to end the sentence at AC. Satish, you get your hand raised, or is that from before?
Hey, Art, this is Stephen. I had my hand raised. What it essentially does is goes against the IREC model. And so we need that section X10 that can be removed. I'm not sure if that's really relevant, but everything else should stay there, or we're not following the IREC model. The utilities are going to have the nameplate capacities. They're going to have details on limited export and non-export and the operational use cases of these systems. If they're reviewing everything just based slowly on the aggregated nameplate capacity and not taking into account power control systems, we're negating everything we're trying to do. So that's what happens to me, from my perspective, when you delete the rest of the definition there. So I see it as very crucial, and it's needed. It's like fundamental from the PCS controls that I believe we're trying to achieve here.
This is Matt. I guess in support of P&M's position, their proposed definition would be broader, and I think that we can write in the second part of the sentence, except where such capacity is limited by any methods of limiting electrical export. That could be written in the section that was referred to in section X. That we could write it in other areas, and we could keep just the maximum nameplate of a generating facility as a broad definition to not be limiting.
Well, I hate to
think-
throw this into non-consensus because it is a fundamental issue. I think that what we're going to have to do is just put it in non-consensus and have the two alternatives.
Yeah, I recommend that, Arthur, because remember there were significant discussions in the working group meetings that Eric facilitated about this. So I think if at this point it's not a consensus, I think we do have to show it as a non-consensus, the two alternate definitions.
Okay, all right. So the rest of the stuff here following section X10 is confusing to me. I think that the red is Eric's inputs, and it just kind of muddies the water here, and it seems redundant to me. Is any of this really necessary? If we have
Excuse
the
me,
two
Arthur.
definitions, yeah, go ahead.
This is Tayoko. The language was edited, and we provided a little bit of an adjustment to reflect IREC, and this doesn't match that now. So it's been modified with information that's not correct, or of course doesn't follow the IREC definition. So
Do you have that in front of you?
I do have it in front of me, and it basically, after limiting electrical export, it says, comma, then generating capacity shall be the net capacity as limited through the use of such methods.
Say that again. Shall be
The
the
generating capacity shall be the net capacity as limited through the use of such methods. And then in parentheses, not including inadvertent export.
okay. You sure that's a comma there, or is that a new
Yes,
sentence?
there's a
Generating
comma.
capacity.
There's a comma after export. And
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. It should be a semicolon.
Yeah,
It's an entirely new idea.
it's referencing a section where this is defined more. So
Okay, so we're still not going to resolve this. So we're going to have two definitions in non-consensus. And am I correct to say that the industry position is to have this definition here, and the utilities is to have the very basic definition here?
And Art, I'll go to say maybe that one thing that may help here is put the gross rating. I mean, even in Rule 21 in California, it's just the basic definition that we would propose to utilities. So Rule 21 California also endorsed that, because the IREC models are, I mean, they're not going to work for the utilities.
Well, they are working for the utilities in other states. You can't tell me that they're not going to work.
They're not really working. They have been imposed, but they're not monitoring those. Yeah, I can say that they're not really policing those things. They can't.
But power control technologies limit the output. I mean, that's their function.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, those things can be removed because they're not going to be placed on the utility side. They're going to be placed on the customer side, and well, not always. The rules are not always followed. That is
okay, and then that person would be in violation of its agreement, and you can shut them off the system.
But they still pose a risk, and that is some of the problems we see with this. That's why we want to keep it as basic as it is.
All right. Well, we're not going to resolve this. We're going to have two definitions in non-consensus, one representing industry position. Am I hearing that this is representing the industry position? Yes? Tayoko, Stephen?
yes.
Okay. And the utilities position is just ended at AC, okay? Next, inadvertent export, another one of those issues that had a lot of discussion going on here. And I think that there was this issue of adding in the reference to UL 1741 CRD for PCS. What I did originally was I didn't like having this big footnote in a definition. It didn't make any sense to me, so I moved it to the place in the body of the report where this was discussed, and PNM wants to bring it back in. So somebody tell me what we should do about this. Does anybody have an objection to using it as a footnote?
Hey, this is Stephen at Sunrun. I don't have an objection to using this as a footnote. I think the definition is not correct, though, and I'm not sure where it came from or what the original inadvertent export definition was. But in reading this, it says frequency, and UL 1741 CRD PCS has no frequency test limitation within the standard. We've had discussions about this in past working groups, and again, we're trying to sneak in language that's inconsistent because in the past, utilities have wanted to limit frequency of events, and there is the technology just isn't certified for that. So, with if we are going to keep this, the term frequency needs to be deleted, and I think I'm okay with it other than that, but I'm not sure what has changed since compared to what is in the IWAC model and what we're comparing it to, because we're only seeing the revised definition here with a footnote.
Well,
so
because
I think more may have been revised.
Because there's a little plus mark in front of this, it means that we had a really big discussion about this 2 weeks ago, and I don't recall the original definition. Satish, do you recall it? But if in fact 1741 does not discuss frequency, then we'll just take it magnitude or duration.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Or
okay, and then we'll footnote this.
Art, if you go back to the original IREC definition, the word frequency is not there.
Okay, we're taking frequency out, and so it's in terms of magnitude or duration as specified, and we're putting in a footnote. May I move on?
Art, maybe the word frequency doesn't need to be there, but maybe we can introduce here a period under which how many inadvertent exports can occur in a.
No, that's not a definition. That's in the body.
I see. Okay.
You're gonna put that in the technical stuff. That's not a definition.
I agree. Okay.
Right. We had a whole big section in the report about 2 seconds, or 10 seconds, or 30 seconds, and that's where it belongs.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just in the body. It's not
an agreement. Why can't we agree on the word? Satish?
I was just going to say it's not testable, but the utility can monitor it.
All right, I'm sorry. Interconnection agreement. Is this an addition to what we have? I don't really see. I see that we're taking out, PNM wants to take out levels, which is okay with me because that's not really a definition. is it acceptable to folks to just have it end at ongoing operation after it is interconnected and delete the rest of this? For the purposes of the definition. Because again, it's referring to interconnection, someplace in the interconnection procedures. Okay,
We
that's
support
what we're
that.
going to do. Interconnection equipment package. Again, this is really kind of going on. We need a bare bones definition, which is a group of components connecting an electrical generator with electric power system, including all interface equipment, including switchgear, inverters, other interface devices. An interconnection equipment package may include an integrated generator or electric source. And PNM wants to confuse this situation by adding in the word certified. Is that what you want? I mean, it's and we're not necessarily going to refer to all this stuff in a definition. What? So tell me what works here.
Well, we like the certification or at least equipment that's certified for the use. If it's an equipment package, it sounds like it's a combined system of equipment that it's not noted that it's certified or rated or listed for the purpose. So that's what we're just saying. The previous 568 said that all equipment shall be NERL and certified for use. This is not saying that.
Steve?
Hey, Art, Steve from Just Sunrun. I'm not sure where this definition came from, but no manufacturer is going to certify all that equipment as a package at a NERDL. So I would not make that a certified package. I agree, Frank, that the equipment needs to be certified, but it would be potentially dangerous to include too broadly, an equipment.
Excuse me, but that's NEC. NEC lists that all equipment must be certified and listed. So I'm against anything behind the customer's
I'm
meter
not saying that, but
that's created or not certified for its use or purpose.
Sure, and I'm definitely not saying that. This definition of interconnection equipment package is new to me. I'm not sure I've seen this anywhere else. And my concern is that a NERDL is not going to certify the inverter with 5 different types of switchgear and other devices. They're going to have those devices certified. They may be certified for interoperability with other devices, but this seems very narrowly focused to me. If you create this definition and a certified package, I have not seen this elsewhere, and it's concerning to me, so I'm flagging it.
Well, okay, and I'll flag the other one, which is basically it's not saying that there's an equipment in there, and this equipment, I don't even know what an interconnection equipment package is, but if you went to Costco and bought it as a complete system, that's what I'm thinking, just in general, and that it's not qualified or certified, the equipment, unless you want to get a PE to stamp on it, but we're talking about. I don't know what the basis of this interconnection equipment package is. Why is it even in there?
Matt?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. It seems like maybe this interconnection equipment package definition may not even be necessary.
Oh, it's referred to in another definition. I think that's the problem.
Well, can we remove it from that definition? I looked it up. I looked it up in the IREC model. It's in the IREC model, and there's a footnote in there. Oops, I lost my footnote. Give me a second here. The most common interconnection equipment package is an inverter. However, a solar array and an inverter can be bundled as a complete interconnection equipment package. In that case, the generating facility would simply be the interconnection equipment package. I don't know why it's necessary.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tom Key here. If I get just
Hi, Tom.
Yeah, I agree that this was a one that I wouldn't have expected. To me, the equipment package is really the application, and it ends up being not a nerdle, but the utility that has to figure out whether the plant is going to work in their system.
All right. So what are the implications if I just delete that definition?
I think the only place we use it, Arthur, at least in version 2, I haven't looked at our draft of version 3 yet, but the only place we use it is in definition of generating facility. But we've changed that now, so I think we can delete it without any pain.
Okay. I don't want to get into an argument about certification. The certification standards are going to change. So we're going to delete this definition.
Do a quick check on version 3 while you go on.
Well, I don't think we really changed to version 3 yet.
Oh, right. Well, make sure it's not in the text anywhere else. Okay.
Okay. Interconnection procedures. Interconnection procedures mean the procedures including attachments. PNM. Why do you have to be non-consensus? Why can't you just give me an alternate, right? So what's your problem here? Interconnection procedures, it's something of a tautology. It is just referred to. Is it even necessary to have this definition?
We're wondering that ourselves. What is it? I mean, just interconnection procedures means procedures including attachments. I thought you said you don't like definitions with the words and the.
I don't. I'm asking, do we even need this? I mean, to me, it's self-explanatory that these are the interconnection procedures.
This is Matt. I don't think it's necessary either.
Anybody got a problem with me deleting it?
We support the deletion.
Okay, limited export, non-export. All right, we had a lot of definition here. What's your problem here, Frank?
Well, if you look at other utilities like namely PG&E, they list limited export and non-export, meaning the same thing. And I looked at Hawaii, and they don't have anywhere limited export. I looked at Southern California Edison, that's not listed in their rule. So our perspective of limited export, what I think is the interconnecting customers program decrease generating nameplate rating export of energy across the point of common coupling. This ties in with the industry's proposal of ongoing operational capacity, which is in a non-consensus status. So unless you want to derive limited export equals non-export, then that's fine. But if it's a different meaning, then we're not in consensus of that. Thank you.
Yep. AB agrees with that because they're not supposed to be exported unless they specifically request that in the interconnection agreement itself.
Okay, but we had limited and inadvertent export, and we had a lot of conversation about this.
To me, limited export is not even the same as inadvertent export. Inadvertent export is minute energy across the point of common coupling on an interconnection. In other words, non-export systems. Limited export to me, again, is the program, interconnecting customers program, decrease generating nameplate rating, export of energy across the point of common coupling. And so non-export is basically, that's okay, design that's fine. That definition is fine. Our non-consensus is limited export.
All right,
And
well,
it
I don't
hasn't
even
been
have a
established.
definition here. Margie, in version
I know.
2, is there a definition of limited export? Actually, version 1, since we didn't do anything to version 2.
Oh, yeah, let me go back. No.
No.
It's described, I think, in the non-export, limited export, that section of the text, but we don't have a definition.
All right, I'm just going to delete it. And if it's important to have a definition of limited export in the final rule, people will argue for it, and then the commission can decide. Thank you. You're okay with non-export? Let's move on. Operating mode. Again, you're trying to define all of the things that are more technical rather than just describing what it means. So tell me why I should include all of these different kinds of status when that's really a technical issue and not a definitional issue.
Well, I think those export only, import only, and no exchange really, to coin a fresh and dumb it up. There's operating systems we know that can do a lot more, and so defining those operating modes actually has been helping us with ESS interconnections. So
Right, but wouldn't you define them in your technical guidelines?
Well, we're having a hard time defining export only, import only, or no exchange. We don't even know where that came from or what that is.
Okay, somebody from the industry? You know what export only is. You know what import only is.
Correct, but no exchange? And what are the definitions
where did this come from?
Yeah,
sorry,
that's a good question. This was it doesn't.
Because I thought we had ongoing
not
operating
discuss
capacity.
Yeah, ongoing operating capacity.
Back when Eric was leading those efforts, I thought we had consensus around that, and yeah. And I agree with you, Art. I think some of that information there is, we don't need it there, and I question the terminology and where this came from.
Yeah, I'm sorry that that Eric is not here to enlighten us, but
so
do we need the for example? If we got rid of the for example, we just have a very basic bare bones definition that is the mode of operational characteristics that determines the performance during normal and abnormal conditions, period, end of definition.
Yeah. Art, a technical point. I don't think operating mode would refer to abnormal conditions, right? I mean, abnormal conditions are probably defined in certification. Operating mode would be something you'd want to give the utility when you're trying to connect.
All right, I'm going to move this to non-consensus.
So Arthur,
I can't resolve this.
Yeah, just for recall that in our last definitions discussion, so we have an ongoing operating capacity definition in the report.
Right.
There was suggestion that we add operating mode, and we also have operating profile. So there are three, and you've got the latest definitions master, so I'm not sure but I think that's why this came up. But we do still have ongoing operating capacity in the definitions.
Okay. All right, so that will probably suffice. I'll move this to non-consensus. It would be my preference to delete it, but it might be important. Okay, point of common coupling, they are the same, others say they're different. Do we need two different definitions here? Point of common coupling is point where small generating facility is electrically connected to the distribution system. The common point of common coupling is the point of measurement for the application of IEEE standard 1547 or point of interconnection, which looks awfully similar. So could we have point of common coupling or point of interconnection and just have the same definition for it? Is there any functional difference?
Yeah, Art, couldn't you just refer to the 1547's definitions, which is actually a little different? It's reference point of applicability, which I guess is related to that measurement idea.
Oh, no, then we're gonna have to define reference point of applicability.
Well, no, I was going the other way. Why do you need to define something that's already in the standard?
Just so that people know what we're talking about. So, so if we have point of interconnection here, that includes in it, it is the same meaning as point of common coupling. Is this the sufficient definition that we can use? It's just that we...
Art, again, sometimes it's important to point out very precisely where we agree we are going to measure something, and that's, in this case, it's going to be the meter. So maybe Tom can expand on it, but 519 had all kinds of issues, Tom, with those two definitions.
Okay, so how about this? We refer to the point of common coupling in other places. We don't necessarily refer to the point of interconnection. Can I meld these two and use the point of common coupling and then add the sentence, point of common coupling has the same meaning as point of interconnection defined in the section of the IEEE standard? Because it says the same thing. It's just, it's what placement you have on it.
I've just put a little bit of light as to why the two definitions are in 1547. There's instances where the customer's interconnection point is not the same as where they're connecting the renewable facility. So that's why they had to have that drive that extension in there but for many.
But if you're defining them and the definition is exactly the same, then it's just really on a case-by-case basis, there may be a difference.
Yeah, we can keep both. That was the driving the driving comment there that, sometimes that one is further down and like Satish mentioned, sometimes you measure your quality results or power quality results at the point of interconnection where the customer must maintain that quality of the power and
okay, so this is what we're doing here. Definitionally, it's the difference between blue and blue, but it may be different. Steve Rimshaw.
I just pulled up 1547 2018, and actually point of interconnection isn't defined there anymore. So I think we need to go back and look at the standard. I see point of common coupling, and I see the use of, where did my document go? I'm sorry. And they use the point of DER connection instead of POI and PCC. That must have been an update in 2018. But, I'm just pointing out that in 2018, there is no point of interconnection that we're referencing exist in 3.1.13. So that would be an older version.
Steve,
okay, do we even need to refer to it?
Does it have the point of applicability? I believe that one is still there.
Yeah, so we're keeping that.
I think in the point of common coupling, as you look at 1547 2018 standard, there's examples that you can drill further down, but I don't see that definition either. They don't have point of applicability.
in the latest.
Okay, I'm confused. So do I just do away with this? And we don't even refer to point of interconnection?
It does need to
SBS.
be, yeah, well, the 1547 deals with the behind the meter a lot, but for the, in front of the meters, we do need the point of interconnection definition.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we're talking about behind the meters for the most part here.
But aren't we including here in front of the meters as well?
No. Okay. Somebody tell me how to resolve this. I mean, I would just have point of common coupling and end it at 1547. And the second choice is has the same meaning as point of interconnection, but I would lose the defined in section if it's not there anymore. So you say point of common coupling has the same meaning as the term point of interconnection for in front of the meter resources. Would that resolve it?
I would propose that we use the FERC definition for point of interconnection. Since that's in front of the meters, it's very applicable to that.
Can you put that into the chat and then we'll just add it in as an alternative here?
Yeah, let me look it up.
I just posted it in there.
In this case, it will be distribution provider facilities. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll have two different definitions. We'll have point of interconnection. We'll have point of interconnection. It's clarified here that this is the point where interconnection facilities connect with the transmission or distribution.
Yep,
Could we,
that will work if you just.
could we say electric distribution system?
To connect with the electric distribution system. That. We're going to keep these.
That looks very similar to the first sentence of point of common coupling. I just
Yeah, I know. it's Stephen. It's the difference between blue and blue. I mean, really.
It's got a magic word, measure.
Measure.
The first is a measurement.
Yeah, the point of
that
measurement, right? You got that in this, Satish.
it may not be important, but that's the distinction. And
Yeah,
and then
okay.
there's no argument where the numbers are coming from.
Okay, all right, we're gonna move on. All right, what is this? Power rating configuration setting. Okay, so PNM, again, we have all these references to IEEE, and PNM says we're not referencing it in the document. We're not sure it be included. Where will this come into effect? Power rating configuration setting? To me, this seems like a technical issue rather than a definitional issue, but somebody tell me.
SBS actually recommended deleting this as well in our September 3rd comments.
Okay. Has everybody got a problem with deleting it?
Not used anywhere else in the report beside the definition.
Okay. Delete. Now, it doesn't mean this isn't going to rear its ugly head and come back again later, right? But we're just taking it out of this document. Okay, supplemental review means additional engineering studies. We already talked about this, additional engineering studies to determine requirements for processing the application. Why do you want to delete this expedited fast track or detailed study? And then there was this whole issue about this is just defined. This is just telling me what you're doing. Contingency studies, we determined, are a form of engineering study, so we don't need to include it in there because it raised holy hell. So why should I change what's here? Supplemental review means additional engineering studies to determine any requirements for processing the application through the expedited fast track process or a detailed study. Why is that inaccurate?
I think it didn't capture our discussions before. I think it was supposed to say, or determine if a detailed study is required. But I think striking through all that leaves it a broader definition. I think it's okay.
To edit an application?
Yeah.
Anybody got a problem with that?
Hey, Stephen at Sunrun. I think it's too broad because supplemental review within SGIP is definitely specific to those processes. And here we're just generic creating a supplementary review that could be much more generic, and it's maybe standardized processes, it may be requirements. It's just a little bit less clear to me. In the past, we have talked about in the industry proposal, minor modifications, how those are separate from supplementary review processes, where these are minor upgrades and you aren't going through the supplementary review process. So I'm just adding that tension because supplementary review within SGIP is really specific to those screening processes. And yes, it does determine requirements to some degree, maybe not completely, but I'm just worried that minor modification, that any customer needing any sort of requirements, such as a service upgrade, goes into the supplementary review process because those SGIP screening processes are not appropriate for specifying requirements like that. So I'm just raising that concern that supplementary review is really specific in SGIP, and we're making it a bit broader here. And I'm a little bit concerned about how minor modifications would be accounted for.
That doesn't help me define it.
I'd recommend keeping it more aligned with, I thought what I originally heard was expedited processes. And then I thought I heard a comment about having detailed studies, changing detailed studies slightly. I think just changing the definition of detailed studies a little bit more as was originally proposed may clean it up. But
So
it just feels a little broad to me.
So adding or determine if a detailed study is required.
So processing the application or determining if a detailed study is required?
Processing the application through the expedited process.
We're going to stat this.
Yeah.
Stat or determine if a detailed study is required.
This is Frank. This is interesting because behind the meter, if it's a fast track, means it's taken out of fast track if a supplemental occurs. So there's probably a difference between in front of the meter and behind the meter meanings. Because it's not a really fast track process if it hits supplemental review. I think that's what it sort of derails it and takes it out of the fast track process for behind the meter. Yeah. It's the nuances of trying to get both of them, the front of the meter and back of the meter together. It's really somewhat problematic.
I can't do this. All right. I'm sorry. You're just muddying the waters here. I don't understand what we should say. This is what the proposal on the table is, to leave in through expedited fast track process or a detailed study, or determine if a detailed study is required.
So strike out or a detailed study in the middle of that, but keep the rest.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So we're going to keep this.
And that's consistent with the text that is in section 3.3, the application timeline. So I think that's good.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to try and get rid of this. And I'm sorry that there's a line through that. I just can't get rid of it. Okay, moving on. Unattended islands. Unattended island means the creation of an island without the approval of utility, usually following a loss of a portion of the utility's electric delivery system. PNM has a problem with that. Loss of service does not allow for unattended islanding, but once we have advanced inverters, they will. Once we've adopted 1547, they will. I don't understand why you're objecting to this.
Or maybe the original intent of that definition is the word unintended means we understand it was not allowed, but it happened anyway.
Right. So we have the
So
approval of the utility.
Unintended is not in conflict with utility does not allow. It is
Okay.
unintended because the utility does not allow.
Okay, if
But
we ended it at approval of the utility, would that take care
No,
of the issue?
I'd like to hear from PNM as to if they agree, and you can leave the sentence as it is. I think the point of the definition is that, and I'd like to hear from Tom too. Unintended islanding simply means that you had an anti-islanding scheme and it didn't work.
Well, that happens. Tom?
Yep. It does.
Yeah, I mean, you could put a period there, but because the idea that I mean, it's not an island if the utility's still running, right? So it's kind of a given that you've lost the utility if you're going to create it unintentionally.
Yeah, exactly. And to the point, and I agree, the inverters can do that now, but that's with the approval and the mutual consensus with the interconnection customer that they can do that. This begs the offer saying, oh, okay, then we can do an unintentional island, means the creation of an island without the approval of the utility, period. Okay, if you want the definition of that, yes.
All right, anybody got a problem with just defining it that way and leaving the whole loss of system to another day?
So I think this is referred to in the anti-islanding definition. That's the only place that I see it being used. Anti-islanding means a control scheme installed as part of the generating facility to prevent the formation of an unintended island.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of like it's either clear on its own or it's not clear at all. And if you're not in the industry, you have no idea what this means. But I think we'll leave it at without the approval of the utility, and then move on. And then we had one other addition, which was Margie's noticing that we did not define fast track. All right, and so here is a proposed definition for fast track. Describes the process in which an interconnection request advances to an interconnection agreement without requiring any distribution system upgrades. And Margie, where'd you get this definition from?
My brain.
Your brain. I've done that sometimes too.
No, my listening to people's discussion and reading the report, but it may not be accurate. So I that's why I put it on here as the discussion.
And Margie, I think that's really good, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
This is Frank speaking. Yeah.
SPS doesn't agree.
Why? What do you want?
Because of distribution system upgrades. Well, yeah, I guess I'm mixing distribution system upgrades with minor modifications, I guess. So I guess SBS is okay with that.
Okay, anybody else? All right, that's the last one. Just going to go back through, make sure we understand what we're doing. If it's in bold, that's the change that we're accepting. If it's been deleted, it's deleted. Energy storage device, mostly we just kind of like got rid of, oh, this one, add a component. Make component. Considered a component.
Sorry, I just looked up fast track and SGIP. It says it's a procedure for evaluating an interconnection request for a certified small generating facility that meets the eligibility requirements and includes the initial review screens, customer options meeting, and optional supplemental review.
Well, that's awfully detailed. Do you want to have it that much?
Maybe the part about including the eligibility requirements, because we refer to that in our table. And fast track, the way it's written now, might not be inclusive of that.
Okay, so define it for me again.
I'm looking to see if I can just do a simple change here.
Yeah, if you just write it in chat.
Yeah.
Good, thank you, Matt.
Yep. Almost there.
And where do I insert that?
After request.
Between request and advances.
Okay, so now it reads, Fast Track describes the process in which an interconnection request that meets the eligibility requirements after an interconnection request advances to an interconnection agreement, seems a little redundant, without requiring any distribution system upgrades.
I think you can delete after an interconnection request.
Yeah.
Meets the eligibility requirements, advances to, okay, that makes sense, an interconnection agreement without requiring distribution system upgrades. Acceptable?
Yes, that looks good.
Acceptable. Okay, thank you all. It's not easy. Just imagine the people that were negotiating the King James Version of the Bible, or the Diet of Worms, or any of the other major definitional things in our cultural society. They had it a lot worse. All right, back to what happens next. Again, we're going to use this. Well, I like this a lot. I don't think it goes into the report. It is supplemental materials for the commissioners, but you can review it. And if anybody has a comment on it, let us know. And that out. And then we just go and share the next steps, which was in. No, I lost it. Anyway, okay, so you will get revised version 3 and the annexes next Monday, the 4th. We'll seek comments, errors, and omissions just to make sure that we got everything tight. It will go to the commission thereafter. I'm sure the commission will accept any comments that you have, but we'll take it with a grain of salt if you say, nah, I don't agree with any of this stuff. Right. I want to assure our friends at the rural co-ops that we did include a definition of small utility that is a carryover from the last. I know that was your big issue. What that means is up to the commission to determine. I think that under the existing rule, it provides some flexibility for meeting some of the deadlines, but you didn't have a specific proposal on the application or the pre-application. So really, it comes down to having good faith in working with the applicants, right? I mean, really, I know we have to be as prescriptive as we are, just in case there are disagreements, but recall that we did go through an exercise of defining a dispute resolution process that might be a little bit better than the existing one. We always have the option of going to the commission and complaining, but we'd really like to avoid that. We'd really like people to, do the best that they can. And if there's a problem, to talk with the other party and work it out, right? This is all about working it out. So that's all I have. Does anybody want to add anything? I aside from thank you all for participating in this. This has been a pretty extensive attempt to make sure that we're bringing New Mexico into the 21st century interconnection-wise. I appreciate everybody's position, even if I get a little short sometimes, but it is up to you to provide your expertise so that the commission can make the right decisions. Anybody have anything to add, share?
Hi.
Otherwise, yeah, go ahead. Hey, it's Colin. Hello.
Hi. I just wanted to remind everyone that we won't be having Margie for the next several months. And so if you have comments on this, please send them to me or Arthur. And communication will be going through us two from here on out.
Oh, hey, Margie, great working with you. And wherever you go, good luck, huh?
I'll be back. Don't worry. You'll see me again.
Okay.
She's going to go off and move rocks, which is an apt metaphor for what we've been doing here.
Good morning.
Okay.
Judith Parsons, and I apologize for interrupting. I just want to be sure we're going to receive the next draft on October 4th, and then just to confirm, comments are due back on October 11th. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. And the comments are limited to errors and omissions. No new information, no restatement of positions. Just make sure that, that things are spelled right and that I didn't forget something.
Excellent. Thank you so much for confirming.
Okay. Great. Thank you all. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon, right? And if not in this forum, and then in the Community Solar Forum, which is going to be coming up. I don't really have an update. I'm anticipating getting Stratagen's report either this week or next week, and then the commission will proceed on a separate rulemaking. Okay. Hasta la vista.
Thanks, Art. Appreciate it.
Thank you.